Hello and welcome back. It's Paul from NeuralAdX Ltd here, and I'm just going to take you through how to add technical terms onto your website for generative engine optimization purposes. So we move straight on to my page, which discusses this in detail, and I will go through each factor which assists you with the technical terms. So the first thing you want to do is identify the relevant technical terms for your industry. So the best thing to do is make a list of all the technical terms, jargon, and industry-specific phrases that are commonly used in your niche. So methods of how to do this is to look at your competitors' websites, investigate white papers, and industrial glossaries. You can also use keyword research tools to find terms with high relevance and high search volume. This is, of course, very, very important because then you've got the inside knowledge that this is what people are searching for, those particular terms. Then if they are implemented on your website, then it's going to marry up. And that's the key thing. You want eyes on your website. Okay. So it's got a little example here. If your website is about machine learning, your list might include neural networks, backpropagation, gradient descent, overlifting, activation function. So obviously these are terminologies pertinent to a machine learning website, just as an example. So the mapping of terms to content toppings, that's heavily in depth, so we don't need to go on that just yet. So another element to focus on is integrating terms naturally in content. So you want to incorporate technical terms in a way that feels natural and informative. So you can do this by using technical terms relative to your industry in the headings or in subheadings, and of course in the body text. You can provide a brief definition or explanation upon the first time the word is used. You can do this, I suppose you could arguably say two ways, in that you can create a glossary page on your website and have that link to the first time a technical word is mentioned. But in addition to that, you could potentially get a plugin, which is a tooltips plugin. So when somebody actually hovers over the first time you mention a technical term, it will present in a speech bubble the definition. So that's another little useful tip for you and another way to help implement technical terms on your website. Again, kind of leading on from what I touched on a moment ago, is creating a glossary or FAQ pages. So obviously a glossary in itself is just giving you a breakdown of the definition of the words that you're using that the user on your website can refer to if they don't understand the semantic meaning of it. Okay. FAQ pages as well are, they're good, not just in the sense of technical term explanation, but they are great for AI generative engines because they love to store the data from FAQ sections because it's easy for them to retrieve and present that information as answers to users' queries. So that's another useful implementation to add in regards to technical terms, the FAQ. You also want to interlink technical terms within your content. Well, this is kind of what I've already said, isn't it? So you're using internal links for every first mention of your technical terms. So it's a little bit repetitive here. I need to double check that. Seems a little bit not in cogent, sensical order there, does it? It seems a little bit regurgitative. So I need to update that to show recency and conscious live thinking. Then you can also optimize your meta tags and alt text to include technical terms. So write meta tags that naturally include the terms and then use descriptive alt text for diagrams or images, again, which illustrate the technical concepts. So we got an example here for you, a meta title, Understanding Gradient Descent in Machine Learning. Meta description, learn how gradient descent optimizes neural networks with step-by-step examples. And the image alt text will be a diagram of backpropagation in a neural network. So I'm not sure if your mind has been able to create a vivid image to comprehend what I've just said there, but all I can say is mine hasn't. So I think maybe we're all at a loss on that particular explanation. So moving on to monitor and update terms regularly. Again, this kind of interweaves with the importance of recency. So review and update your list of technical terms and their usage as the field evolves. Like everything, it's always changing. And in industries, technical terms can change, albeit incredibly slowly. But the more that the common, shall we say, colloquial speak is of a certain context that maybe not including the technical terms, then those technical terms may indeed die out and therefore not be useful. So it's just really pointing here to being on the pulse as to what is actually being used in communications with people. But this is kind of addressed by doing your initial research earlier that we spoke about, by finding out the search terms that people are using for your industry by tools like Answer the Public and other tools that aren't springing to mind in this instance. Okay, then the next element is encourage user interaction with technical content. So prompt users to explore technical terms through interactive elements. So, yep, as I mentioned earlier, you can use tooltips, which if they hover over the cursor, a speech bubble will come up explaining to them what the technical term means. Or you could alternatively implement interactive diagrams to reinforce the understanding. And on some websites, you can get, it's like little flip cards that you can depress it and it will have the terminology. And once you flip it, it will give you the definition. So it's little kind of tips and tricks, like kind of gimmicky if you ask me, but it's a mode of showing AI that you're making an effort to implement technical terms and explain them to the audience, which gives you brownie points with them. Okay. Then the last point to make is to test with generative engines. So you can type in a particular technical term in your industry and see how AI generative engines respond to it. So, for example, you could search for your terms using AI-powered search tools, ChatGPT, Perplexity, ask AI assistants questions based on your content and review their responses. For example, you could say, what is backpropagation? And verify if it uses your website as a reference or provides accurate information. Okay, so all of this really is, again, explained with just a simple understanding of trying to make sure that you are using specific terms that are currently relevant to your industry. And then in addition to that, you are making sure that those particular terms are explained in layman's terms for somebody that hasn't come across them before. So really and truly, it's those two factors that we're focusing on. And then the other elements that I've spoken about before it are just sort of the mechanisms to enact that on your website. Okay. Right, so that covers everything that I wanted to share in this regard. I hope you have found it helpful, although potentially somewhat over-informative. If you do have any questions or query on this subject, then feel free to message me, and I will always do my best to reply to you with the most accurate information that I have to hand to date. Okay, thank you very much indeed. See you in the next one.